A lot of people coming out of the Congo, not just South America, they're coming from 181 countries as of yesterday. Right, and we're a dumping ground. We're like a garbage can for the world. That's what's happened. That's what's happened to we're like a garbage can. You know, it's the first time I've ever said that. And every time I come up and talk about what they've done to a country, I get angrier and angrier. First time I've ever said garbage can, but you know what? It's a very accurate description.
That's where we're at. That's where we're at with Donald Trump, with his campaign, with American politics. By the way, it's not because he gets angrier and angrier about immigration. He flies all over the country. He doesn't see any of this invasion that he talks about. It's all made up. No, he is getting more concerned about his chances. And he clearly thinks that if he's going to get elected, it's not going to be on the stuff his campaign wants him to focus on, inflation or the economy generally, housing, whatever. It's going to be ads demonizing trans people. They're putting more money into that than literally anything else. But that's mostly the ads. He doesn't care as much about that. He just wants to scare you about migrants. That's it. And so he's trying to figure out, okay, I've gone with like the poisoning the blood of the nation thing. I did the Nazi thing. What can I do? I guess like Colombians aren't scary enough. What about people from Africa? What's the scariest place you could be from? The Congo. I'm gonna say they're from the Congo. And you know what? That still sounds like it's a person from the Congo. No, it's garbage. They're garbage. We're a garbage can collecting the garbage people of the world. This is just like this is as gross as it could possibly be. You already know that. I already knew that, of course. Nobody's surprised by this. He does think that this can win him the election. And as we'll get into in a little bit, it just might. So all of this sucks, Brett. What do you think?
How are you feeling, John? How are you doing?
How are you? I'm great about America, okay? Now, look, I'm not one of those people, really fast. I'm not one of those people that's like, none of this is having any effect, because some people think that if a thing doesn't take a person down to losing, it didn't have an effect, and that's not how effects work. It's entirely possible that if he wasn't saying this stuff, he'd be up by 7 points. I think that's actually kind of likely. So I do think it has an effect. I do think it turns off some people, just clearly not enough of them. Everyone should be disgusted by this. It's grotesque.
A storm is tearing up the digital media industry. Only our audience can save us in these difficult times. Help us reach our goal of 100,000 new members at tyt.com/team.
Like, the difference between Donald Trump and me is I actually like this country. Like, he seems to think it is a garbage can, a can of filth that he was in charge of for a while. But what makes this most insane to me is, like, only after he left office, if you believe that immigration is a problem, like the majority of Americans do, probably just because it's so, nebulously defined. But like Kamala Harris, the border czar, in league with Republicans and Democrats and Joe Biden, came together and put forth an actual immigration reform bill that was well on its way to being passed, which would solve a lot of this problem. And also, the amount of people coming into America now is lower than when Donald Trump was in office at this point in his presidency. Like, that's it. And that's like with COVID and everything.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like, the only reason this problem isn't solved is because Donald Trump showed up, and you can look this up yourself, and said, don't solve the problem.
100%.
Why? It sounds like he wanted to just call America and people who came to America garbage. And in doing so, like, I think every place he goes, he thinks is garbage, unless it's like a suite in a hotel he owns or puts his name on. Like, do you think he thinks anything's not garbage? His entire reputation is calling what most normal people like garbage and not fancy enough. And that's what's insane to me, is like billionaires like Donald Trump and Elon Musk are trying to pretend to be like men and women of the people, while you know that all they do is like control the media now and think that America's hot garbage.
100%. Yeah, you're right. And I'm glad that you brought up the killing of the border bill. Like, he goes around saying, I saw a video of a Colombian with a gun, so entire towns have been destroyed, and Detroit didn't come back, and San Francisco is not as nice as it was 16 years ago when Kamala Harris was an elected official there. All this stuff, it all sucks. It's all terrible. Your country is terrible, America. Let me lead it. If any other politician talked like this, like, can you imagine if Harris came out and said, this country is a garbage can? No, no one would be allowed. The fact that they cheer for it is deeply weird. And beyond that,
yeah,
super fast.
They got more people to cover for them too. Like, they know how to handle it. They've got the repeatatron factory. Like, Stephen A. Smith went on Hannity and was like, "Are you telling me that Kamala Harris can't put a sentence together? Have you seen Trump?" And immediately, Hannity goes, "I've talked to him for hours and he's very sharp." And who believes that? The only chance they have of people believing that is if they repeat the lie over and over again until it just becomes like 100%. Something they know by rote.
And look, this isn't just disgusting. He is telling you what he wants to actually focus on. Like, Trump says a lot of bad things about a lot of different areas. Sometimes you could tell that his heart really isn't in it. Like, I think he's very transphobic and homophobic and all that, but I don't think he's like some of these people. I think he would be perfectly fine to have laws suppressing these communities pass. I don't think he's gonna wake up early every morning to push for it, but I use it only as a comparison to the dude has been talking about migrants and non-white people for a very long time. This is a thing that he has hated since before he came down the escalator. And so they're trash. We've been conquered by them. They're destroying the way of life. They've poisoned our blood. The only reason he's not saying even more and worse things is he doesn't have a large vocabulary, and Stephen Miller only occasionally DMs him Nazi talking points to use. And by the way, like, you've got all the Republicans going on the news today to be like, no, he's just saying that he wants legal migration. No, that's not what he's saying, by the way. He's the one talking about the Haitians whose numbers he has inflated by more than 2 times, having their legal immigration status revoked. He is the one talking about revoking birthright citizenship, literally stripping the citizenship from millions and millions of Americans. This is not just demonizing recent migrants, which would be bad enough. This goes way beyond that. He is more extreme on these topics than weirdo people who wouldn't have been allowed on Fox News 15 years ago. And he might be president in a little bit.